Daniel chapter 5, lesson 6, part 2. The Most High God is sovereign over the kingdoms of men and sets over them anyone he wishes. Daniel 5:18 and 19. You king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father the kingdom, and greatness and glory and majesty, because of the greatness that he gave him. All the peoples, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he killed, and whom he would, he kept alive, and whom he would, he raised up, and whom he would, he put down. Nebuchadnezzar seems to have finally realized that. Daniel 5:20 and 21. But when his heart was lifted up, and his spirit was hardened, so that he dealt proudly, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the animals, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. He was fed with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of the sky, until he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and that he sets up over it whoever he will. Not so Belshazzar. Daniel 5:22. You, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this. He knew how Nebuchadnezzar had been humbled by God. Instead, in his arrogance, Belshazzar set himself up against the Lord of heaven. He honored false gods instead of the true God. Daniel 5:23. But have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before you, and you and your lords, your wives and your concubines, have drunk wine from them, and you have praised the gods of silver and of gold and brass and iron, wood and stone, in which don't see nor hear nor know, and the God in whose hand your breath is, and whose are all your ways, you have not glorified. The writing told of the end of Belshazzar's reign, the kingdom given to the Medes and the Persians. Daniel 5:24 through 28. Then was the part of the hand sent from before him, and the writing was inscribed. This is the writing that was inscribed: Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharshon. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you are weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Perez, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Daniel 5:29. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with purple, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. That very night Belshazzar was killed, and the Babylonian kingdom was taken over by the Medes and the Persians, the Medo-Persian Empire. Daniel 5:30. In that night Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was slain. Darius may have been a title rather than the name of a person. The Darius of Daniel 5:31 was a Mede, perhaps the king of the Medes. Daniel 5:31. Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. His actual name may have been Gubaru. It is also possible that he was a sub-king under Cyrus. You can read more about Darius in other Old Testament books, especially Ezra chapters 4 through 5. We also should consider Cyrus. He was the king of the Persians. There are some difficulties determining how exactly the confederation of Medes and Persians worked. There were also some difficulties in determining the timing and configuration of the rulers, Cyrus and Darius. You can read more about Cyrus in 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and in Ezra. Also very interesting are the passages in Isaiah 44:28 and 45:1. Babylon fell to the Medes and Persians, but Babylon was not utterly destroyed at that time. The city lasted for many hundreds of years and seems to have merely faded away into history many years after the time of Christ Jesus. Yet the Bible has numerous predictions of the utter destruction of Babylon. Will the great city be rebuilt? Or does Babylon stand for more than just a city? Here are some hints. Recall that we have very early references to Babylon in the Bible. Remember the Tower of Babel in Genesis chapter 11? Babel is the Hebrew word for Babylon. Also read of Babylon in Revelation chapters 17 and 18. The end of Daniel 5, Lesson 6, Part 2.